Is it time to hang up? Can we call it quits? We done?
You so badly want to quit on me, don't you?
Kind of do.
I don't know why you see it in your feed different than I do, but I'm on my feed.
Oh
I
my
do not
God!
get it.
Can I start the show before we start arguing about stuff? Is that possible?
Welcome to PHP Ugly episode 80. I'm John Congdon.
Keep it ugly. Is that the whole episode there, John?
There you go.
Pretty much. I think that's it. I think John just did the whole episode for us. Okay. Yeah, I guess we're going then. I guess I won't do my normal intro here. We'll just,
No, you have an intro. You're doing it.
No. It's fine. John's ready to dive into it. Let's just dive into it.
I'm not ready.
I haven't even opened my beer yet. I don't do that until you start the thing, the spiel.
Gosh, why is the stream not going? Is the stream not going for you guys?
I'm not supposed to watch the stream live because it's not live. It's delayed.
I know, but I like to make sure it's actually running. It doesn't seem to be running. So.
Oh, it's running.
There it goes. It just queued up.
Did it just start going? All right. Okay. As human beings, we have a weird thing about us. We have a tendency to hang on to things and kind of forget why we hang on to things. Long before you started coding, Thomas, before John started coding, and thank God I can say before I started coding, we used to program computers in a completely different way. We would use these things called punch cards. They were these physical slices of paper that you'd punch holes in, and you'd use these to program computers. Would you believe me if I told you that we believe that to this day, we carry over some legacy from punch cards that we probably don't even realize we carry over?
Oh, yes.
The average, or not the average, I guess the standard limit of a width of code is 80 characters. And it's believed it is 80 characters to this day because the punch card was 80 characters long, or it had 80 columns. Fun fact. And this is episode 80 of PHP Ugly. Good night. So everybody who hasn't, unfortunately, if you watch the stream live, you get a little insight to things that happen before, during, and after that get cut out of the normal show. But you guys did not get to witness my rage at Thomas and John today.
Which was very misplaced, I must add.
No, it wasn't.
So misplaced.
A little bit.
We are currently recording, it is 10:06. The goddamn Nationals lost Game 5 of the playoffs to the Cubs once more, and this wound is literally 15 minutes old at this stage. So I'm having a little trouble dealing. I'm going to try to push through it because I love you guys. That's why I'm here. But I am officially blaming Thomas for the Nationals' loss. I'm just going to say it was they were down 1 run. Harper was up. And Thomas says, I'm ready when you are. I told him, not right now. I'm afraid I'm watching the game. I turn around, and Harper strikes out.
Okay, no, to be clear, your exact text was, piss off baseball.
I was paraphrasing earlier. I knew I said something like that. So it should go down in the record books where it was the GOAT that was cursing the Cubs for so long, right out cost the Nationals the playoffs this year. I'm just going to put that out there.
I'm okay with that. I'm a Cubs fan.
You're not even baseball fan. You're not even a sports fan. What are you talking about? You're a Cubs
Sports.
My wife is from Chicago. So
fan. Is she really?
by proxy, I am a Cubs fan because she'll punch me if I'm not.
Well, you definitely don't want to upset the wife.
I do not.
You want to hear,
And if you
you want to
have-
hear something
have a
funny?
Cubs opener- hold on, I want to say something funny. Your intro, you brought up the punch cards. One of my favorite things is the term bug. A bug in your code.
Ah, I know this one too. Go ahead.
Yes, the first instance of a bug in someone's code was literally a punched hole that was covered up because there was a squished bug on the punch card.
That's right.
And that's
that
where we
really
got the
true?
term. That's absolutely true. I have pictures of it.
Yep, I remember that day. No, wait, what? No, I don't remember that day. I wasn't alive. Well, I was alive. I think I was alive. All right, you want to hear something funny? I'm a big fan of podcasts. I like listening to podcasts, and I honest to goodness, I'm not exaggerating, enjoy listening to our podcast. But I realized something, and I think I've noticed this for a while, but I really got an appreciation for it on the last show. If you listen to our podcast, I will straight up be having a completely different podcast than the two of you. Like, you two are having one podcast, and I'm talking about something completely different, and I don't let you stop me. And it's like we have two podcasts going on at the same time. It was cracking me up. Well, you got to listen to the podcast, John. You wouldn't understand. But you guys will start to try talking about something, and I will continue talking about something completely different.
Just total steamroll.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know.
I love
We
that.
just like
I love that about me. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
You know,
So,
we also get the term patch from punch cards, because if you needed to
I did not know that one.
if you needed to fix a card, you wouldn't re-punch the whole card. You would take a piece of fiber tape, a papery kind of tape, and you would put a patch of tape over incorrectly punched holes.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Buckshot. Buckshack. Buckshack. That's the type of thing I'm talking about, John. I talk about something really different. This is a red wine, and it's really good. Buckshack. I'm doing a wine today. I'm almost out of my scotch, and I'm really trying to hang on to my last couple of glasses until I can get back to Costco. It's really
They didn't have any last time I was there. I looked for
Oh, really? Oh my
Yep.
goodness! I'm buying all the scotch out of San Diego. I'm afraid I can't get the stream going on my iPad for some reason. So I'll take your word for it that it's going. I hope you
It
guys
is
are
going.
monitoring the chat.
Yep, I got it.
You
Got it?
you don't bring it up and pop it out into another window.
Well, so I have
So-
I have to start the stream. So when I go into YouTube, I have to go to the creators section. There is a chat pop out there, and I do pop that one out, but I don't know if that's the same one that's attached to the actual Hangout I launched.
Should be.
So I go into the Hangout. Well, type something in there. Let me see if it shows up.
There you go.
All right, let me type something in there. Yeah, see, I'm not seeing anything. I just typed something too. You guys see that?
Yep. No,
You did?
not at all.
No,
No.
nothing.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, the chat pop out I have is not, and there's no way for me to get to the YouTube one. I have to launch the page and go to the site. I guess I
You
can
have
do that.
other browsers, tabs.
Yeah. Well,
There's lots of ways to do it.
I typically keep it open on my iPad, but the iPad is not happy with me. I'm going to try to reboot this while you guys are carrying the show.
Hey, were we supposed to
All right.
start local recordings?
We were having a conversation before. That's another example. See, John says something that I know he's just messing around with us, and I just don't give him, and I just continue to talk. I love these things. We were talking before the show, and I'm curious about everybody who might listen, the mass amount of fans we have, that is. I tweeted something out for the PHP Ugly site I replied to a tweet on the PHP Ugly site, and it started this conversation amongst the three of us because both Thomas and John said that they did not see the tweet in their mainstream. And I kept saying it should be there. It was a tweet from PHP Ugly. I go to my mainstream and I see the tweet. They say they don't. And it started, so explain to me, whoever wants to explain to me what I had done wrong again to the fans.
When you start a tweet with an @ it does not necessarily get shown in everyone's feed. So it's common practice to prefix any tweet that you start that way with a period to remove any confusion that it's not a reply.
And the first issue is I was using the Twitter app, so starting it with a period wasn't an option because all the @ replies you don't have access to. It's not like an email where you can edit.
You can move the cursor still.
Yeah, and what were you replying to? Why were you replying versus just sending out a new tweet?
I was replying to a listener who was talking about the fact that we keep mentioning his name. And Thomas, I will let you mention his name again if you would like, because I don't remember what it was now.
Herman Ostendorf.
Herman Ostendorf has had his name mentioned probably more times on PHP Ugly than any other listener. And this is show number 3 for him, 3 in a row.
It's the perks of being a friend of a show.
Friend of the show, Herman. I was replying to his tweet, and again, using the app on a Mac anyways, when you do that, the people you're replying to, you can't edit. I say that. I should verify that now. Let me see. So if I take this, I'm just going to randomly take it one. I'm going to do a reply. Yeah. I can't edit the people I'm replying to. All I have, and oddly enough, I have 140 characters I can type. So I don't know how it does that.
You don't have 280 yet?
No, I don't. I haven't been one of the lucky chosen few. I still have 140, but I have 140 even with the reply addresses, which normally on the website or something those count against you. So apparently in the app, in the Twitter app, they don't. I have 140 characters I can reply with, but I can't edit it. So in the one that I did before that had a lot of ads, there was no way for me. I can't remove anybody, but more importantly, I can't add anything before it.
Still think you're full of crap about seeing that tweet in your feed.
He posted a screenshot. You're just baiting him at this point. You already know he's angry at me. You're just going to bring more on me.
Well, so in your, I don't know. I give up.
I like that you have one card on here for the week, and it just says meetup.
Oh, do you guys want to meet up sometime? Maybe get a beer or something? I keep meaning to ask you, and I figured I'd write myself a reminder that way.
Will you tell me who the keynote speaker is?
No, I'm not allowed for another 6, 7, 8 months from now.
That
oh my God, mute your phone.
Who was that?
John.
Why was it me?
Because I can tell. You immediately reach for your phone.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It was very important.
I will mute my phone now. It's a good call.
Anyways.
So we had a meetup this week. We had a meetup last night for SDPHP that went extremely well.
I heard good things.
Yeah, it was a longtime friend of the show, or friend of SDPHP anyway. Mike Ho, who I actually met before I moved to San Diego at PHP Tech. And it turned out he lived only a few miles away from where I was moving to. So we hit it off, and he was a huge help in me learning my bearings around San Diego. But he gave a presentation on the Internet of Things and just how to get into programming devices and interacting with them, and did an amazing job. He's a great speaker and just was intrigued by it. Saw lots of applications with one of our clients, so hopefully we can learn a little bit from that.
Nice.
The big takeaway, since nobody else is jumping in here, the big takeaway is that Bluetooth LE is constantly just sending out information that realistically anybody can listen to. And then you have to build it within your app if you're going to restrict that in any way.
But that was, I mean, that we talked about that last week as well with the devices.
The screw driving. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he wasn't paying attention then. But, you know, Mike Host.
Eric did actually crowbar PHP Ugly into the meetup by talking about screw driving.
I heard about that. I was very proud.
Crowbar. That was not. It was relevant to the discussion. That wasn't a crowbar by any means.
You didn't have to say PHP Ugly. You could have just said, "Oh yeah, I just had a conversation about screw driving."
Oh,
I just want to
excuse me for promoting our show.
I just want to see the part of the presentation where Eric perks up and goes, dildos have the same problem.
That's pretty close to what I said. And for the record, Mike confirmed that security is a big issue in that section of the industry, and they're still trying to figure out how they want to address it and how they're going to address it. He didn't sugarcoat it. He's like, yeah, this is a problem. Everybody knows it's a problem. That's not stopping these companies that want to get these devices out.
No, they're still using Bluetooth, which is the concern. Bluetooth is garbage.
We did have.
You afraid I'm offending some of the Bluetooth gods? Well, you won't just back me up at all.
Who would be a Bluetooth god? No, I'm sorry.
Technically, Bluetooth was a god.
I'm actually looking for a link now. I'm trying to find it because I know friend of the show Marcus Moore sent us to us today. Did you see the link?
Yeah, he sent a link to a presenter named Sarah
IRC.
Jamie Lewis.
In the IRC, yeah.
Who does a lot of presentations on anonymity and consent and sex tech and
Really? Oh yeah, you're right. I'm reading her profile now. Yeah, I guess it was a big thing. This again plays off of what you were talking about last week and our little stories about Bluetooth-driven adult toys. So apparently, this Sarah, who's a developer, who's a coder, who's a hacker, put together some APIs or API calls to her toys, and you encouraged people to hit the API endpoint, and the toys would do things, and she tweeted the whole experience.
I mean, to be fair, these toys, they're not super complicated. They don't do a lot of functions. There isn't like an API call where it will go get you a beer.
What about making a sandwich?
I'm going to have to cut that.
Okay, sudo, make me a sandwich.
Fine.
Jeez, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, sudo it. That's a classic joke.
Guess what I've been up to this week?
Nobody asked.
280, 283.
I know, which is why I had to. Low guess.
Carry on.
I've been dying at a slightly elevated rate. Sick for 2 days and then in recovery for 5 now.
Is that going to be your excuse for not working this week?
This week, yes.
It's like Colorado. It's like Colorado air, man. It's too cold. Your body doesn't know how to handle
so
it.
Nice. Got our first snow this week.
I saw. It's still. What do you think it's here, John? 80, 90 degrees? Do you think it's still 90? Feels like 90.
Probably out where you're at. Yeah. Out in the boonies. No, inland it's been mid upper 80s. It came down the past couple of days.
It's nice in the afternoons, but the days are still really warm. I was telling John and the guys at the San Diego PHP user group that we have a thing here at the house where every year, well, for the last couple of years, we've purchased firewood from the Boy Scouts. It's like a fundraiser they do, and we buy firewood from the Boy Scouts. Last year, we purchased. You buy firewood by what's called cords. You buy a whole cord, half a cord, quarter of a cord. That's just what a cord is. I don't know. It's kind of a measurement. I don't know how to explain it. But last year we had purchased half a cord, and last year, by San Diego standards, we had a pretty chilly winter with a good amount of rain, and so we ended up burning wood like constantly. Now, I'm a fan of the fireplace, so the fact that we were always burning wood, I did not have an issue. And we burned wood pretty solid through the whole winter. Never had to turn on our furnace, which again is not that shocking in San Diego, but for last winter it kind of was because it was a little chilly. Burned wood all through the winter. Burned wood up until March, or maybe even a little into March. We barely got through that half a cord of wood. I mean, barely. This year we bought a whole cord, and I've got so much wood now. I have absolutely no idea. I couldn't burn all this wood if I tried. Like, if my house burned down, there would still be some of this wood left over there, not burnt. That's how much wood I have. So I'm looking forward. I'm really hoping. It's on the side of my house. I have these little racks. But I'm really pulling for like global warming to kick in, and for us to have a really cold and bitter winter, because I've got the wood to burn through it.
Well, you're already bitter.
This is true.
Remember last week you were complaining about how there wasn't enough PHP talk on there?
Mm-hmm. I did. I don't think the fans heard that, but we did have that conversation. How we, as developers, we haven't been talking a lot about development. What do you got
so
for me?
So please tell me that your story was somehow a segue to Twig.
Okay, I was segueing to Twig. What's Twig?
The templating.
Oh, that Twig. Do you have a Twig story, or are you just just grasping for straws? Are you grasping for twigs?
Trying to figure out how your story is PHP related.
Way to bring the show to a stop there, Thomas.
HHVM.
Thomas?
You guys are a fan of HHVM, right?
Did you watch season 3 of Mr. Robot?
No.
Season 3 started.
I know. I'm not allowed to watch it unless my wife is awake, which is a narrow range of time.
Window.
Yeah.
I watched it, and I have to be honest, I think for the first 45 minutes to 50 minutes, I started kind of thinking, I think they jumped the shark. I'm feeling like they've jumped the shark here. And then like that last 10 minutes, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, this is interesting. So now I gotta see what the second one is. I'm not big on it yet, but I know they were trying to do a lot with this first, with the premiere and wrap up, where they left off and where they're going, and so there was a lot to cover. Introduced a couple new characters, so I'll give it another show or two. But the first half hour to 45 minutes, it was difficult to watch. I mean, not difficult. It's just kind of like, okay, all right, whatever. Come on, do something. And then they finally kind of got into it like the last quarter of the show.
Now they're doing a lot with cryptocurrency this season, right?
Well, I'm hoping. So that's what I'm saying. There wasn't any there wasn't a whole lot of geek stuff in this one. I think they were just trying to bring everybody up to speed on where the characters are again, introduce the new ones, kind of start to set some plot lines, and then maybe they'll start getting more into the geek stuff later.
So this is related to PHP because you said this is season 3, which means they skipped season 2, just like PHP skipped version 6.
No, they didn't
Why
skip
would
it.
you think they skip? Why would you think they skipped season 2?
Because I watched season 1, and now you said they started season 3. Where's season 2?
You haven't watched it yet.
We've both seen it. You just haven't. You haven't. Do you think that things that you haven't seen haven't happened?
Yes. That's the way the world works.
I was very surprised how. See, now I can't even talk about it, but it does stay pretty super relevant. Like, they must have been writing things like
last minute. Yeah, it's
yeah. Because they reference things that's like, holy crap! They reference that. So
pull a little South Park action. Just
I won't spoil it for you guys. I'll let you guys watch it. John, you probably watched 4 or 5 years.
Speaking of cryptocurrency, can you believe Bitcoin crossed 5,000 again?
It crossed 5,300.
It's crazy.
Yeah, this is the highest it's ever been. Holy shit! It gained 20% in the last 2 hours, so it's now at $5,638.
Yep.
So at this pace, it's going to hit 6,000 tomorrow.
Yeah, I heard prediction of 6,000 by end of year, but we still got a long time for that. So
tomorrow's before the end of the year.
You sure?
Yeah.
Maybe my calendar is wrong.
Yeah, Bitcoin is blowing up. Ethereum is crumbling. One of the really big Ethereum ICOs is getting a lot of investigation right now, and it looks like it's money laundering and a giant scam, and millions of dollars are getting dumped into the market. People are concerned about the ratio. Do you know about the ratio stuff?
No. Which currency is this, or which ICO is it?
EOC. EOS.
Don't know that one. There's one I actually tried buying into, but you weren't allowed in the United States to buy in.
The most powerful infrastructure for decentralized applications. Looks like they got all of their investment in their ICO, and they are just trickle selling off every dollar that was invested into Ethereum, and it's flooding the market, which means that the increase in price is not matching Bitcoin because the market's flooded. So the ratio basically says Ethereum, as Bitcoin rises, Ethereum should rise with it at a specific ratio, but it's not happening because of the market flood.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like the people who are building this ICO don't have actual faith in Ethereum as a currency, which might be a problem for investing in Ethereum as a currency. You know what else has happened in the crypto world?
What?
Cloudflare.
Really?
Cloudflare has been blocking or removing sites that have been surreptitiously mining cryptocurrency. Did I mention this last week?
I think after the show you brought it up.
So Cloudflare has decided if you're surreptitiously mining, not notifying customers, doing it in some perceivably malicious way, then they're not going to float you because it's malware. So people have been dropped as a result. However,
the question is, how do they? Obviously, it's an automated algorithm. They're not, manually searching every site. So, how are they determining if it's surreptitiously or if it's legitimate?
no, it is manually. They're looking at sites that are hosting CoinHive and analyzing the site whether or not it's properly disclosing to the customer that mining is occurring.
Really?
I think we can expect this from Cloudflare too, to further act as police of the internet. The CEO basically said, I don't want this power, but as long as I have it, I'm going to use it. So I think when they took down the Daily Stormer, that sort of opened the floodgates for saying we can decide which content we want to cut whenever we want to now. And until the government stops us, we're gonna.
I'm still curious why Cloudflare cares, because aren't they really just a CDN and content proxy?
Because I think if it feels like malware to them, then it might feel like malware to a regulatory agency, which means that they could be on the hook for distributing malware.
You think? Really?
I think so. I mean, the same thing goes for image boards that host user-uploaded content. You still have to police it a little bit, because if you don't, then you can get held culpable for distribution.
Huh. Never would have thought about that way.
Hey, Eric.
Thomas?
Do you have a Raspberry Pi?
I have quite a few Raspberry Pis.
Can I have a BlackBerry Pi?
No.
Why do you ask?
What do you use your Raspberry Pi for?
Well,
decoration in his office.
I've done a couple things with it. One thing I used it for a while was a network ad blocker. So it doubled like as a DNS, and it filtered all the network traffic coming into my house and my Wi-Fi, and would block ads and stuff. That was fun. Currently, I'm just using it I write little cron jobs. So cron jobs that I have that I want to continue to run, I run on my Pi, and that's really what I'm using it for. Why do you ask?
Well, I was thinking, if I needed some resistors and capacitors, when I was a teenager, I know exactly where I would go to get those.
Radio Shack!
Yeah, you'd go to Radio Shack. You'd pick up all the things you needed for some kind of Raspberry Pi project. But Radio Shack really turned away from that. They turned into like a consumer goods store and a cell phone store, and that's had a lot to do with their bankruptcies.
Mm-hmm.
So you know where I'm going to go now to buy my parts for my Raspberry Pi and stuff like that.
Best Buy. No.
Fry's.
No?
Fry's is a good one.
Radio Shack, baby.
What? What are you talking about?
Adafruit, the company that created the Raspberry Pi and does all that work, bought Radio Shack, bought the Radio Shack Corporation.
What? Is this what you were raving about on that Instagram post? Which really pissed me off, because it was like this Instagram post that showed them holding up the certificate of ownership of Radio Shack, and there was no content to it. I'm like, what the hell is this? Who is this person? Why do I care about this?
You have to know who it is. It was posted by Colin
That
Cunningham.
would have been a good lead-in to you telling me who it was, Thomas.
Posted by Colin Cunningham, and it was a picture of the woman who created the Raspberry Pi, who created and owns the Raspberry Pi company. Oh, God.
Come on, get the name out there. We'll edit all this together. It'll be seamless.
Yeah, no, we'll do that. It'll be us. We'll all do that. Lemore Fried.
What? Who's Lemore Fried?
It's the woman in the picture holding the ownership certificate for Radio Shack.
What? Wait a minute.
You've made this story fall apart. I want you to understand that this
You
collapse.
made the Nationals lose the playoffs. I want you to understand that.
So it's revenge, is it? This is just revenge.
So, wait a minute. You're burying a bigger story here. Are you telling me the creator and owner of the Raspberry Pi brand is a woman?
Yeah.
Does the tech press know about this?
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah, she's been on the cover of Make Magazine, Wired Magazine, Inc., Popular Mechanics, Newsweek.
But seriously, I thought this was really cool. When I saw this, honestly, I didn't know who the lady in the picture was. I would have totally appreciated some more context to this picture because I'm like looking at this. I didn't know the person that posted it. I didn't know who it was a picture of. I obviously saw the Radio Shack. I was reading through the threads, and all the threads were saying is, "What? This is cool. This is neat." I'm like, okay,
it is fucking cool.
Who the fuck are these people?
Well, it was an Instagram picture, not a press release.
Yeah, but in Instagram, you can actually write stuff. You're not limited to 140 characters. Give me some information in there. You know, we're trying to do a podcast here, people. I need facts.
You know we don't operate on facts.
I'm glad you explained that.
We've been classified officially as fake news.
Officially?
Yeah.
The Trump has called us out? I wasn't aware of this. Or is that fake news?
Speaking of which, have you seen the Eminem freestyle against Trump?
Yeah.
Wasn't that impressed?
I wasn't necessarily impressed, but I love the ending.
I didn't get that far.
If you're a fan of me and a fan of him, I'm drawing a line in the sand.
Yeah,
it was good stuff. Like basically, you have to choose sides, and if you're still for him.
Yeah, but it was at the BET Awards, so I mean, it wasn't like he was throwing out a really controversial statement.
This is true. Yeah,
and
it's not like he's ever been worried about people not liking him either. So,
yeah.
No, I still liked it though. Screw y'all.
I appreciate it, but the thing about freestyle rap like that is that unless you've tried to do it, it doesn't seem like it's very difficult. And
no,
I
completely appreciate the talent it took for him to freestyle that, but I think for the message that he was trying to convey, he could have formulated something ahead of time. Like it didn't have to be freestyle just to be freestyle just to impress people. Everybody's already impressed by the dude. I mean, he's a platinum artist, and everybody's very well aware of his freestyle skills, but I think that was an important message that he was trying to state, and it would have been nice to see something a little bit more polished.
I'm sure.
But we don't talk about politics on this podcast, so
we're talking about rap music.
I think that's also off the rules list.
No.
Oh no, that's right. We've discussed it previously.
Well, as far as I can tell, the rules list has been deleted. So.
Not deleted,
we did do that
archived.
Too.
Archived.
Okay.
Right.
Nobody's paying attention to it anyways.
Yeah. Don't talk about religion. Don't talk about politics.
Oh, don't get me started.
Let's talk about PHP. Should we talk about PHP?
Do you have something, or are you just baiting the hook?
I do have something. Taylor posted a Laravel tweet asking, what do you hope for in Laravel 5.6? And I'm just curious if you guys had any input on this. I replied. I sent him a reply. I told him I'd like to see some baked-in UUID stuff, since it's clearly not going to make it. Clearly not going to make it into PHP Core anytime soon. Which
I didn't know there was a middle finger emoji too. That was interesting.
Which we talked about in the past about why that there was some talk about putting it in PHP Core, but the person who generated the patch essentially wrote it in PHP, which with the whole benefits of
why it shouldn't be accepted.
Yeah,
their about paragraph just said this probably shouldn't be included.
But I do think it's a great fit for a framework. And so I threw that out there. There were a couple of good suggestions out there, but yeah, I thought I'd throw it on the show and see if you guys had any opinion. I know John really doesn't do a whole lot of Laravel. I know he'd like to do more, but he doesn't do a lot.
I can tell you exactly what I want. What I've been doing all day.
What's that?
All week.
Screwdriver.
Besides that, in my actual in-work capacity, I mean, that was 2, but scaffolding for Bootstrap and Vue forms. Vue's cool. Responsive stuff is interesting. I tried to implement Vue on a little task today and ended up just making triple the work for myself somehow and reverting that and going back. But I'm still dealing with Bootstrap styling for my stupid backend admin, and it's just a pain in the ass to remember every call-md-6 means half the width of the current div that you're in, with padding for another div of the same size floating to the right. It's just, I hate it. I hate the fact that a form which could be 10 inputs somehow requires me to write the raw HTML for it.
And it's funny because that's one of the packages that your group maintains, right?
Laravel Collective runs the HTML and form helpers. And yeah, it's interesting because the form helpers, I've done custom form helper stuff where you don't just take the base package, but you go in and use all the features of it, and you can define a form as a completely fleshed out, almost scaffolded thing. And yeah, the fact that it's not in Laravel core is baffling to me still to this day. I don't understand why that's just absent altogether now. I know that when he did it, he gave the reasoning that Laravel was going to focus on creating this bridge between console work and HTTP work, and that if you wanted to include it, you could knock yourself out and go ahead and include it. But I think it's a weak argument. I don't see any reason to not bring that in and maintain it. You guys are tweeting offline while I'm talking about.
Nobody's tweeting.
I'm messaging on Slack. Not even listening.
I'm reading the thread, and a person who used to work for Diego Dev did some replies in the thread. And I was just letting John know. I'm like, hey, I hadn't noticed that this individual had also posted in this thread, where it's the thread we're talking about. So, yeah, you made the Nationals lose the playoffs.
Damn it.
Everybody in Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia area, you should hate Thomas Rideout.
They do.
How long have the Nationals been around? Aren't they a newer team?
I think they're the newest in Major League Baseball, but they've been around for a while now.
But you've been here longer than they've been around.
Well, this is true. I have been here before the Nationals.
So you just hate it's not that you love the Nationals, you hate the Cubs.
No, I like the Nationals. I don't love the Nationals because they were never around when I was back east. So to my heart, I am an Orioles fan because that's what I grew up as, an Orioles fan. Fun fact, that's
a hard youth.
My father, who I've shared with you guys in the past, our bond with baseball. My whole life growing up, my dad grew up in D.C. So if you don't know your geography, Maryland and D.C. is actually not a state. It's a district. It's a district of Columbia, hence D.C. But it's right up against Maryland. We lived right on the border of D.C., Maryland. I used to ride my bike technically in DC. That's how close we were. But my dad grew up in DC. He grew up a Senators fan. But the Senators moved on. And when I was a child, our only choice were the Baltimore Orioles. And Baltimore is not that far from where we lived. It was about a 45-minute drive. It wasn't bad. So my dad would haul me up to a game, a couple games a year if I was lucky. And but my dad always referred to them as the Buzzards. And in my head, as a child, I thought it was funny. I'm like, oh, I get it. You know, he's making fun of a different bird. It's not an oriole, it's a buzzard. I didn't know until pretty close, until about 2 or 3 years ago. My mother kind of let me in on the fact that my dad hated the Orioles. He blamed the Baltimore Orioles for the fact that the Senators left DC, that they couldn't compete in the market with the Orioles. And so he hated the Orioles. And I always thought he was just being playful with the name, but he wasn't. He hated them. And so that was funny. But but the Nationals, when the Nationals came about, I became a fan because they're in the National League. The Orioles are in the American League. And if I ever ended up in a World Series where it was the Orioles Nationals, I would deal with it myself. Thomas, wake up. Wake up. But yeah.
Even listening to Baseball Ugly.
I'm a Nationals fan. See how you are? I didn't give you guys any slack about talking about your cryptocurrency is up this, down that, ether this, that. Didn't give you guys a hard time. Trying to lay some baseball knowledge on you, and you're nodding off on me.
I wasn't nodding off. I was putting my head against my microphone. I was trying to psychically bring the conversation to a screeching halt.
Success.
At it.
Turns out I have psychic powers.
All right, Professor X. What's the
So you brought up HHVM earlier.
I did.
Where were you going with that?
Do you know what HHVM is?
I started that with so, just FYI.
Oh, shit. I got to get a beer then. Take 2.
What? That whole time I was talking about baseball. The guy couldn't have slipped away, grabbed his beer.
Killing me. Show's too long as it is. And we have nobody listening live anyway, so we can just fall asleep. That'd be cool.
There you go. What?
Do you know what HHVM is, Eric?
No, I have no idea.
The hip hop virtual machine.
We were just talking about Eminem.
Do you know what hack is?
No, what's hack?
Stupid.
Hack is the language
How I code.
that HHVM runs.
Hack is the language? Do tell.
Right. So this got confusing.
PHP.
Hack was a more strictly typed version of PHP. A lot of compatibility crossover, a lot of inner functionality. What this meant was that you could take your PHP code and optimize it into Hack and then run it on HHVM, which before PHP 7 was very fast. Now it's just as fast, if not slower in some cases. So this left the Facebook people who had developed HHVM and Hack sort of wondering what to do with HHVM. It lost its market presence because it lost its benefits. So now they've announced they're going to get away from PHP support. They're going to start escalating their Hack language towards much more strict typing, much quicker deprecation of bad PHP functionality, and focus on things that were not PHP or that are not PHP oriented. Focus on things that bring it into its place as a modern language on its own. So there's
We
a good
mentioned
number.
earlier how I was worried that Mr. Robot might have jumped the shark. And for our fans outside the US who might not know what that means, jumping the shark essentially means that it's gone past its expiration date. It's going downhill. It's really not relevant anymore. I'm sure Thomas will explain to you where the phrase "jumping the shark" came from.
Sure.
2 thumbs up. But I honestly feel with this release, with this notice that you put in, I feel like HHVM has jumped the shark here, because it's one thing that they lost their big marketing niche when PHP 7 came out, which is a good thing. It's a good thing to the PHP community in general that enough changes were made to make the performance of PHP on par with these companies that, like Facebook, who were developing another language because, focused on performance. That's a good thing. This announcement here just kind of seems like sour grapes to me. Like, Facebook said, well, fine, if we're not faster anymore, well, then we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and whatever.
My question is, why did they ever turn it into a separate language hack versus contributing back and making PHP faster to begin with?
It's easier and faster to tag statically typed variables and results.
My understanding of the story is that they initially did try to work within the PHP core, but they weren't getting the results they were looking for. Things were happening too slow. That's the way I understood it. So they just decided, okay, we're going to do this ourselves. So to their defense, the way it was explained to me is, yes, initially that was, but you got to remember, this was back in the PHP 5 days where it was impossible. It was very difficult to get patches applied to PHP, much less impactful changes like
it was pre-Git, wasn't it?
Right. So that there's that piece of it, and they had the right to do it, and I honestly think that it was them doing this that kind of kicked the PHP community in the ass and said, hey, we've got to get our house together. We've got to move our platform forward.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to get irrelevant. So I applaud Facebook for everything they did with Hack and HHVM. And I think we're in the space we're in now with PHP because of them. But this just sounds like they want to, I don't know.
Okay. Let me give you a quick example, though. See, one of the problems with Hack was, like you said, the time to implement changes was too long in PHP, and so they just made Hack. But there are issues in PHP 7 that are still pretty bad, and they're not going to get resolved anytime soon.
Are they issues, or are they practices that people don't agree with? Go ahead. Give me an example. Lay some knowledge on me.
PHP references. So I'm just going to straight up read you this paragraph off of this article. They will be eliminating references. PHP references have unusual semantics, where the function specifies the binding of parameters with no indication at the call site. Moreover, refiness is not part of function interfaces, and a parent method can be overridden in a derived class with a different reference binding in any or all parameters. This is both confusing and performance degrading, and a more disciplined reference-like construct, such as in-out function parameters, could be both more useful and more efficient. So this is the whole pass-by-reference thing that lives in PHP because of the transition from PHP 4 to PHP 5, where in PHP 4, everything was passed by pointer or by reference, and then in PHP 5, it's now passed by copy.
Well, in 4, it was
vice versa. Then it might have been the 3 to 4 transition, but there was a specific point where the ampersand symbol.
In 4, you could do the ampersand either on the when you called the function or on the function parameters. When you went to PHP 5, it was only on the function parameters that you could include that.
Yeah, and so that was a patch for a functional change in how it was dealing with references, and it really fucks up performance and makes things confusing if somewhere is getting a pass by reference and you don't notice it, or vice versa. So,
yeah, but that's a backwards compatibility. I mean, issue.
But they don't want to focus on backwards compatibility. The issue is they focused on backwards compatibility for the sake of us, for the sake of PHP developers. They said, hey, we've got this faster environment. We're going to make it backwards compatible for you, even though that kind of screws us over. Now, we've got the faster environment. We don't need to be kept up. So they're saying, listen, it's better for us to develop this as a separate language. We're not going to try and target PHP 7. We're going to try and target our own language, eliminating references, eliminating destructors, finishing up the hack arrays, which is a 3 special type of arrays that hack allows for, and continuing improvements in performance. I mean, the thing slowing down hack right now is still PHP. Is that they have to account for what PHP might do, and that slows down hack. They want to get rid of that. And to get faster and faster, they're going to have to get further away from PHP.
So they end up limiting. I mean, they already have a limited user base as it is. They're not going to be able to. They're not trying to attract more PHP developers into it.
No, but neither is Node.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't hear these complaints about Node.
Yeah, I don't see. I just don't see the relevance. I could be wrong. I've been wrong a couple times in the past. My wife will let you know. But
if they come out of this a year from now with something really special, you're not going to see people turn it down just because it's not PHP anymore. Because it's still really closely going to resemble PHP. I mean, they're still talking about.
But it won't be compatible anymore.
No, but you don't need to.
I think that was one of the things that was a draw to PHP developers is, hey, I can write this. I know how to write this code. I write this code now. I'll write the code I know. I'll take advantage of some hack stuff where I as I learn it and where I find it beneficial. But now you won't even have that. You won't even be able to do that.
Yeah, but I spent 10 hours this week learning Vue. If I only have to spend a half an hour learning hack, then that's fine by me.
I don't know. I'm having a hard time. I think they're taking. Obviously, this is a release meant to boast their efforts. So, they have very targeted, concerns and complaints that they're talking about. But
they have thousands of customers who are currently running.
You're saying they didn't post this to bring interest? It's on hhvm.com/blog. It's absolutely a marketing piece. This
is educating people using HHVM to say, hey, don't expect us to target PHP 7 because we're not going to.
No. This is them saying, hey, we're still here. Don't forget about us. Remember how cool we were last year? We're still going to be cool. Check this out. We're going to be controversial. We're going to do this. That's what they're doing here, dude.
Why are you so angry?
Because you had the freaking Nationals lose the freaking playoffs today. That's why I'm angry.
And for those listening, it's now 11:01, almost 1 hour past. So Eric is now 70 minutes past the loss.
Yeah,
less angry,
but more drunk. So it's a break even.
There you go. That's exactly what I was going to say. I don't know. I don't. I had a very brief time in my life where I was somewhat interested in this effort, and obviously with the release of PHP 7, it became a lot less appealing. This actually makes it even less appealing to me. I'm like, there's so many other languages out there I want to get my head around, before I even worry about such a niche language right now as HHVM. It's just there's just not enough benefit there for me.
I got an offer to work at Facebook, so it might be worth it for me to learn.
Yeah.
Did you really?
You follow up?
Yeah, they'd want me to move there though.
Yeah, they're not a big remote working facility.
No.
So I heard a story on NPR recently. This will just be a quick one-off, nothing conversation, but we have issues in the United States with Social Security numbers, especially with the big data breach at Equifax. And
breaches.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But
yes,
actually, I heard the story on NPR where they're trying to get rid of the Social Security number and go with cryptographic keys identifying you and giving you the ability.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Yeah, giving you the ability to revoke the key. If there is some sort of fraud, you could get a new key.
No, that makes so much sense. I'm a huge supporter of this.
Getting the average Joe to get their head wrapped around it is another story. But how do you go from, hey, here's this 9-digit number that identifies you to, hey, here's this blob of text that identifies you?
What's a blob?
I don't know. I don't know how they would do it.
Exactly. Is it a number? No, it's got letters in it. Okay, so it's like a sentence? Well, no, it's got binary characters in it too. Oh, great.
Yeah, for years.
And how do I keep this safe?
Upload it to your vibrator. I'm sorry, Eric.
No, fuck y'all.
You look
the playoffs through this year. I was trying to be relevant here. I was going to say for years we've had the issue of unencrypted emails resolved, but again, you can't get the general public to wrap their heads around PGP and how to use PGP. Yeah, but you don't think that if we created a standard implementation and management system for this, that I think of it like an SSH key, right? I mean, we all know what SSH keys are, but if I guess that would be.
We do because we're geeks. We understand it.
But my point being is you don't need to memorize or understand what the hash is. You just need to know where to get it to put it on the server so that you can authenticate to the server.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think that the general public would get their head around that? Like, you're not identified by a number you can memorize anymore. You're identified by a hash. And
nope.
Like you said, if you feel like your identity's ever stolen, I mean, think the same thing as Social Security. I mean, you go to somebody and says, if you ever think your identity's stolen, we're going to create a mechanism that allows you to change your Social Security number. It's the same thing, right? It's like
that's no. That's not what you do when your identity is stolen. When your identity is stolen.
He's just giving an example.
Are you even listening to the freaking podcast, Thomas? Are you trying to jinx another team?
The whole system of credit falls apart once you can just say, I'm a different number now.
No, it doesn't fall apart, though. That's the thing. It's
there's still a link. There's still a link there. You're just revoking your current key. Nobody else can use it, but you're still that previous key.
There are a lot of problems.
I'm not saying there's not, but it's the 9-digit number is.
You don't think there's a lot of problems with the Social Security number now?
We know that until 1979, your Social Security card on it said this number is not to be used for identification purposes.
Yeah, I know. I remember. And, I remember as a child, to this day, I have a Social Security number that I thought I memorized as a child, because back in my day, you were taught to memorize your Social Security number. At some point, when I was about 14, 15 years old, there was some confusion on whether or not I had the right Social Security number memorized. The government was saying that, no, we have them as a different number. My dad would ask me, and my dad would reply, no, he says this has always been his number. This went back and forth for about 6 months. And then eventually the government said, okay, well, this is his number now. It was the one that I said. They just changed whatever records they have.
You don't
that
have a
show
little
different.
card that says your social security number
Yeah.
is.
So you just
I
stole
did.
somebody's identity?
This is my point.
Your dad?
There's clearly an issue with the. I mean, we all know there's an issue with the current social security number. First thing, nobody keeps it a secret. You know, you got every form in the world will ask you for it, or used to ask you for it. Now it does the credit card thing where it might ask you for the last four, but it's flawed, and that whole process has been corrupted for so long. Not corrupted by individuals within the process, just it's a broken process. And I love this idea. I love this idea, John. I think we definitely. I wish there was a way to go support this. Is there a way to support this?
Not that
There is a company that does identity to cryptographic key management called Keybase. I believe all three of us are registered on Keybase, where you have your public key associated with your multiple online identities so that people can communicate securely to you. In fact, they've just launched a new service. Have you seen this? I hope so, because it's on your tabs.
It's in my tab. Yes, I have seen it. Go ahead, explain it.
This company launched Encrypted Git. So this is a Git repo system that is encrypted end to end.
So this is yeah, okay, end to end. That's used loosely. This idea, though, is very, very interesting to me. So if you've used Keybase in the past, you know, we talked about PGP and emails and the struggles with getting the general public to accept it. Keybase from the start has tried to make PGP kind of transparent to the general public. I've liked their approach. For a long time, all they were was a website that you register to, and then you proved your identity by linking to other things. Like you linked to your Twitter account and you had to post a special message on your Twitter stream, and you did all these things to kind of establish this was actually you. It just didn't take you for your word or by you validating an email address. That was cool. They then released, and you were able to follow other people, but and you could encrypt messages using it, but it was very PGP like, where you would have to get that person's key, encrypt it, send them the message, then they could read it, but it was very manual. It's tough. Then they released a chat client, and this just happened. We talked about it on the show a few months back.
We've used client
that I still use it.
It was garbage when we used it. It did not work.
But it works. What are you talking about? This work? Don't interrupt me. It works perfectly fine. And they basically took that encryption knowledge, all that, added to a chat client. That was when we did our whole chat thing. It was awesome. Within that chat client, which I thought was always interesting, is when you establish a channel with another person, it created this shared folder between the two of you, which, as you mentioned for this other thing, encrypted end to end. That was cool. Now they've implemented this Git repo. What this allows you to do is to store documents that you think are important, well, not think, that you feel are important. You have two different repos you can add to. You can add to a personal repo or to a team repo. You can store these documents into these repos and always have them available to you. So, depending on how much you trust the service and how much you trust this technology, you can have sensitive information in these repos. Nobody can read it. Only the people you say should be able to read it can read it. I think this is cool. I haven't used the repos yet because I mean, the only thing I may consider putting into those are my SSH keys. And honestly, I'm still even a little leery about that. I got a question for you guys. When's the last time you changed your default SSH key?
About less than a year ago, when my laptop was stolen.
Dude, I am horrible at that. I am horrible at that. I haven't changed my default SSH key in so stinking long. I mean, a very long time. I mean,
it's hard once you get it installed on so many servers. It's hard to to change it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
used to have a
Well,
script that automated that changing.
I actually tried to create an application that did that. That was going to be my first open source project. I was putting together these scripts that essentially did the same thing. Not only that, but it would do it for you automatically. Like once a week, it would rotate your SSH keys based on the servers that you had defined in your SSH config file. It basically would do an SSH add. It would generate a new key, do an SSH add to all the servers in your config file, and then it would know what the old key was based on the script that I wrote. Then it would go in and do a remove of those keys if it was able to log in with the new key. So it would add your new key, log out, attempt to log in with the new key, and if it was able to do that, it would delete the old key. I thought it was a good idea, but I never finished it. I got close, but I never finished it.
Yeah, touching the SSH directory is tough.
I actually went the other way with a cron shell script that just pulled my keys from GitHub.
Well, that only pulls a public key, though.
But that's all I need.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. It pulls the public key from GitHub, and then it logs into all the services and adds it? The servers?
On each one of my servers where I put my public key, install a cron script that would every so often go get my public key.
Mm-hmm. That's a great idea. Well, yeah, when I was doing my script, GitHub wasn't a thing, but that's actually a great approach. Yeah, using GitHub as your central repo of your live public key. That's what, there is actually a system out there for that if you bother to submit your public keys to it. But GitHub is a good way. That's a good idea, John. Maybe that's what I should do.
Well, guys, I have one last thing here. You know, we like to talk about chat apps. All the latest and greatest, newest and best.
I had a new chat app sent to me today if you want to talk about it.
I want to talk about an old chat app. AOL Instant Messenger.
I heard about this today.
After 20 years, AOL Instant Messenger will be shutting down.
Say it ain't so.
Absolutely. December 15th, as they put it on their own Twitter, AIM will be logging off for the last time.
No.
That brings us...
What will we use to replace it?
A billion fucking things. Discord added video and screen sharing, and yeah, we're fine.
Friend of the show, Michael Dorinda, sent me a link. Actually, he sent me a link back on October 2nd. I just saw it today. For some reason, my Telegram didn't notice, which is another chat app if anybody's interested. He sent me a link to Rambox, which was another one of these services.
Sounds unpleasant.
I shared another service like this, but
is that one included?
You got a link to Rambox and you just clicked on it immediately, just like, oh yeah, check this out. What is this?
It seemed to make sense at the time. It's rembox.pro, not .com, P-R-O. rembox.pro.
Trustworthy URL.
We talked about another service like this in the past, but this takes a lot of these modern instant messaging services and gives you a general interface. But again, all they're doing is leveraging the web interfaces for all these services.
Yeah.
It's not like they're doing anything.
It's just like Friends, which is asking me to like talk about Friends with my friends, but won't reply to me on Twitter.
I never could get that working. It just annoyed me, so I just stopped even trying.
It's just a browser window.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah.
It's like,
doom and gloom, baby. Equifax has been breached again.
Boy, your segues have been horrible today.
You literally said this is my last topic.
Yeah, bringing us into doom and gloom. Did you not get? I thought I made that clear.
Nah.
Yeah, the Equifax website started feeding out malware. Just out of nowhere.
Started tweeting out malware?
No, feeding out. If you went to the Equifax website, you would download and install It would be sent to a link to update your Flash, which was actually a malware installation. And boy, they just can't get any good luck this week, month, year. It's bad. They're still around. Who God knows how much longer, but it is just it's a dumpster fire of security problems.
So bad. They can't afford to hire IT people though. That's why.
Yeah, no, that costs money, and no one who applies can pass the credit check. I'm gonna need you to laugh closer to the mic so I can get that on my. During the editing process, a lot of my really good jokes get passed over because you guys like to lean back and laugh.
Wait, I'm laughing right into the microphone.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to do that louder.
Holy.
Oh my goodness, that was so funny, Thomas. You're the funniest man I ever knew.
I'm gonna make that my ringtone.
Do people still use ringtones?
Yes.
My phone nobody calls me, so I don't know. Nobody likes me. Nobody calls me on my phone. I'm not sure why I carry it.
All right, guys. It's been a Louisville slugger of an episode.
Just rub it in.
It's been a national disgrace of an episode.
I was trying to work it in there. I couldn't figure it out. Good job.
Hey, good news. The president's still tweeting. Can't have that stop anytime soon.
Oh my. Are you saying that because he just tweeted, or why'd you bring that up?
Nah, just to remind people that chaos reigns. Doom and gloom, man. You guys are too quiet during this period.
Why does the Twitter handle Donald Trump tell you to visit real Donald Trump?
Because real Donald Trump is his real Twitter handle.
But if he has Donald Trump, why not use that one?
He's not known for his intelligent decision making.
I'm so confused. That's stupid. Whatever.
It turns out his Twitter handle, Donald Trump, is actually owned by Putin, who for now wants it to redirect to the real Donald Trump.
Oh my.
Fake news.
Yeah, God, you guys heard that, right? He's talking about revoking licenses for news organizations.
This is exactly why the freaking freedom of press was established, because of people like him in government. Unbelievable.
I love the stat.
It's
I heard
bizarre.
today that he did all the rallying against Obama for executive orders, and he's issued twice the number that Obama did in the same time.
Oh, he complained about the vacations Obama took and the executive orders he signed, and what's he do? We're not talking politics. We're not talking politics. We're not talking about the fact that Thomas caused the Nationals to lose the playoffs. Those two things are off the table.
So we are then?
So we're done. We're done with the show. It sounds like.
Sounds like it.
That sounds like we're pretty fucking done.
Thanks for listening. I'm John Congdon.
I'm Eric Van Johnson.
I'm the Washington Nationals.
You're an asshole.
Keep it ugly.
Dislike you so much.
You have to say it. You have to say it, Eric.
You're ugly.
No, you have to really. There you go. Bye.
Bye. All right, killing my recording.
Me too.
Stopping the stream. Everybody who listened, none of you.
You should keep the stream. You should keep the stream for this last segment.
But nobody's watching. There's,
You don't know
there's
that?
If people were
literally
watching, I'd say yes, but
Oh yeah. All right, fine.
somebody there.